appreciate the opportunity. I just want to any other panel that want to comment, what would you identify as the single biggest barrier that minority and women-owned contractors face in receiving contractors are receiving contracts for passenger rail projects?
Well, sir, it is a classic case of the chicken or the egg. It is extremely difficult to compete for business when we cannot show any experience. And we cannot show any experience because we have no opportunity to get it. So a lot of times that is what I have been told, that we like you, but you do not have the experience. That has been a challenge for us.
Thank you. Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
I would also add the financial constraints, some of them particularly unique to the minority business community. So in order to get funding, including bonding, you have to have a certain net worth. Or if you don't, then you basically hand over everything you own except a chair and 4 tables to the bonding company. And but in order to be a DBE, you can't exceed a certain net worth. So what we're finding is you get in, even if you get the financial background, these sometimes the owners, but definitely these primes are using the bonding company in a term from the 1980s called bond them and break them. They'll bond you, they'll break you through the contract, you'll lose everything you have, and you can't even start over at that point. I think the financial constraints are one of the biggest barriers of entry. And the rail work it requires significant insurance, and that shouldn't change. But there's got to be some look at how you can be financially viable and not have it used against you.
Ms. Williams, anything to add?
I wanted to ask you to repeat the question, please.
Sure. I'm just trying to get a sense of what you find to be the single biggest barrier to being able to compete in receiving those contracts for passenger rail projects.
I don't know if you're speaking of within the DBE, that arena that has established a DBE program, or you mean the FRA non-established?
Well, since we've established that the FRA doesn't have a DBE, and so I'm just trying to gauge the degree of difficulty and what the single biggest barrier in that space outside of the DBE, what you find the most challenging.
Probably we probably can go back and look and see who's getting the projects, and they're probably the same guys that are getting the projects every time. And as long as they're getting them every time, and then they don't have any kind of goal to bring anybody new or bring in smaller or minority companies, they'll continue doing what they're doing. So the barrier is that there is a barrier. Nobody's going to, if I've been getting a contract for years and years, why would I bring on a small minority company? So the barrier is because there is no incentive to do anything different.
Mr. Clark, anything to add?
First of all, I agree with all our panelists here, but I have to break it down to a matter of greed. The prime contractors do not want to sub out any work that they do, because that's where they make the most money. So they want to relegate you to smaller, areas such as trucking or maybe supplying materials. We, as a rail contractor, want to do rail projects, and we perform well when we give an opportunity. But if they don't have to, unless they have an incentive to give out work that they do, they will not. And we find that to be a barrier to moving forward. There are some companies that have made it a habit of not giving out anything related to what they may do. And so it's more difficult for us to break into the market. And if we do break into the market, then we become a hindrance to everybody there. Now everybody has to listen to us and listen to us try and come in and do the work.
Thank you. The gentleman's time has expired. We will now move on to Mr. Carson for 5 minutes.